Hi, Democrats. This is today is Friday, March 4th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Friday. It's been a long, crazy week. This was the week that the legislators had to rush through and get as much of their legislation heard as possible. And so yesterday was a little troubling. There were a couple of bills, or several bills, that made it through committee. That are problematic. So first, I want to start out by saying science is real. Okay, remember that as I go on and talk about this thing. So I want to talk a little bit about how bills get passed in Oklahoma. There are all these committees, right? There's the Voting Rights Committee, there's healthcare, there's education, and so there are all of these committees, and our legislators are all signed to various committees. The committees hear the bills. They vote on whether or not it makes it out of committee, and then it goes back to the House that wrote it, and then the chamber that wrote it. And so if it was a House bill, the House hears it, they vote on it, and then send it to the Senate, and vice versa. If the Senate wrote it, they vote on it. If it passes, it goes over to the House, and if it passes there, it goes to the governor's desk. Okay, so bills don't just show up, right? There is a process, right? Our legislators talk to people in district, they write the legislation, they do interim studies for a lot of them, they consult with everybody else in their committee, and they try to get it through the committee. It gets through the committee, then it goes to the different chambers, and then if it's voted on positively in both chambers, it goes to the governor's desk for a signature. So that's how bills happen in our state. And so you have to pay attention all the way through. And so two bills that made it out of committee yesterday that I want to talk about today is House Bill 4358. That is a bill that is aimed at eliminating corporate taxes. So right now, corporate tax rate is they pay 3.5% on every $1,000, and that's how it works. And then every year, they want to reduce it by 0.5% through January of 2030. And that's when there will be no corporate tax. No one's asking for this bill. This bill doesn't improve, enrich the lives of Oklahomans, regular, everyday Oklahomans. It doesn't. This is just one more thing. This is just one more tax cut, one more, national Republican talking point that our legislators decided that they want to make good on. Nancy Presnell has a question regarding, do bills change numbers as they proceed? They shouldn't. But what happens is a piece of a bill can move from this bill over to this bill. And a lot of times they shove new paragraphs, new statements into bills. And this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday, when I don't believe that our legislators should vote on a bill unless all of the language is decided on. If the language isn't decided on, it shouldn't be voted on. That's like you going and buying a car and you're signing your life away and there's all this kind of stuff. And then they have a paragraph that says insert paragraph here. Go ahead and sign it, and we'll add the language later. You don't know what that language is, they can come back and say, and there's a balloon payment, you have to pay twice for the car, whatever. That's what some of our legislation is. They say, we're going to make it say this, and we're going to make sure it doesn't do this, but let's go ahead and vote on it. And then it changes. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think that the bill should be presented in whole. And when they're making decisions of getting it out of committee and voting it in the chambers, the bill should have the language that they're wanting it to be converted into law there, so that our legislators know what they're voting on. So the eliminating corporate tax. I know it sounds good that nobody should pay taxes. And I know, I'm not a fan of the tax bill. But here's the reality. That's how we fund schools, roads, fire departments, police departments. That's how we fund it, through our tax dollars. And if we make it where no one pays taxes, how do we pay for this? What ends up happening is your real estate tax goes incredibly insane. taxes on utilities gets out of control, and the toll roads go up. Toll roads that should already be paid for. But that's a whole nother conversation. And so they're going to find a way to tax you, and it furthers the caste system that it appears that we're working our way towards anyway. So that's a whole nother conversation, and we'll figure that out. But without the corporate taxes, individual Oklahomans will end up making up that difference, and our personal individual taxes will go up, and our personal individual taxes on everything that we consume will go up, but the corporations will be fine. And we have a pretty low tax rate. It's pretty low to do business in Oklahoma as it is. Lowering this tax rate isn't to attract more businesses here. It's to appease whoever it is who's been lobbying on behalf of corporate interests. So that's the long range. That's the long range tax one. I don't usually talk about taxes, but that one's kind of a big deal. And then I want to remind you that today is March 4th. It is the 4th day of the acknowledgement of Women's History Month. And I say that because women make history every day, but it is day 4 of Women's History Month. And yesterday, on day 3 of Women's History Month, the House voted to pass, it hasn't made it out of Senate yet, but the House voted to pass a prohibition on trans girls participating in sports. And I know that this is one of those things where if it doesn't affect you, you don't think about it, or you think maybe it's not that big of a deal. It's Women's History Month. This is a prohibition on trans girls in sports. Why aren't we talking about trans boys in sports? I don't want to prohibit either. I want to be clear, either in being able to participate in sports, because our young people participate in sports for all kinds of reasons, right? To learn how to negotiate with one another, learn how to get along with folks, learn how to be a gracious loser as well as a gracious winner. These are the kinds of things that are life skills that sports teaches us. And the talk is always about trans girls. It reads to me like one more opportunity for our Republican legislators to control the bodies of women. There's no other way to say it. We're not talking about trans boys. They're apparently participating in sports. But why women? Why are we prejudiced against women in this state? Why is the Republican Party insistent on managing the bodies of women? I think that's a better question to ask, regardless of what you think about the trans bill. And I hope you're with me that people are healthier and more sane when they get to live their authentic self, and that we should encourage folks and get out of the way of folks identifying as their natural self, who they truly authentically are. That's how we reduce youth suicide rates. That's how we improve youth mental health outcomes, is allowing folks to be who they truly are. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that these are the kinds of bills that show up when you have a one-party rule legislature, which Oklahoma does. The Republican Party in the state of Oklahoma is super majority. If you don't believe me, watch the governor's State of the State address, because he bragged about it. There is a super majority. And because there is a super majority, they can pass bills that have nothing to do with improving the lives of Oklahomans. They can pass bills, special interest bills, bills that endanger the lives of others, because there's not enough opposition on our side to get in there and fight the fight. And we've got to fight the fight. So it's me. So you guys know that I'm reeling it back around to help me find someone that you're willing to vote for. We still have several House seats that we don't have candidates for. We still have a couple of Senate seats that we don't have candidates for. We've got to restore balance to our legislature, and that's the only way that we can go from this chaotic nonsense that we have going on now to common sense, is that there has to be a balance, so that you have to have the real conversation. Does this bill help improve the lives of Oklahomans, or does it satisfy the needs of folks outside of our state? Is this an ALEC written bill? Is this a bill that we borrowed from some wackadoo state that's not our state, that doesn't have our issues? Those are the questions that we need to ask. But the only way to get those questions asked is to elect more Democrats to our state legislature. While you're at it, if you could send some Democrats to our to be members of our congressional delegation, that would be great as well. So help me find candidates that you would vote for, somebody that you would vote for, and sometimes that person is you. But have them reach out to the party, okdemocrats.org/interested, or register for office. We have a lot of information about what it takes to register for office, but if they fill out the form, someone from the office will call them, talk them through the process, and help them get their name on the ballot. All right, thanks for joining me. You guys have a great weekend. I will be back Monday, but so will Scott for the Hamilton Report, and it's a great one. It's Women's History Month. He's going to have the president of the Oklahoma Federation of Democratic Women, Jana Harkins. They'll be talking about issues facing women today and yesterday, because Jana has been a part and been an activist for a very long time in the party, and it'd be great to hear from her. So that's Monday. You guys have a great weekend. The weather's beautiful. Go knock doors. Thank you.